Addictions. They're only as bad as the world makes them to be. Look around you. Everything is filled with distractions and addictions. It's all part of the plan, designed to keep you away from your focus and from becoming better and ultimately damaging your health. So really, it's far worse than it actually seemed. You see, a guy like me has experimented with almost every single drug in the book, chasing dopamine day in and night out like a fiend. It's all fun and games at first, till the harmless sessions become habits, and those habits become addictions and ultimately start changing you as a person. And once you change, relationships change. And once those start fading, that's when life starts to take a dark, steep drop, like a cliffhanger. But I'm here to tell you that it's never too late, because in this video, you will be given the exact steps in order that you need to follow to kick the can and send that addiction all the way to hell. Now, you have to first ask yourself, why do you want to quit? Because if you enjoy dabbling in your vice every now and then, it's not really a problem now, is it? But I know why you choose to have your little group therapy sessions in broad daylight, where you sit around in a circle and say, "Hi, my name is John, and I'm an addict." And I thought my jokes were bad. The only admission you need is to yourself. A good cold look in the mirror without any distractions. So start with that first before you dive into the steps I'm about to lay out. Step number 1, unpack the addiction. Addictions are nothing but strong, emotionally driven habits. Every addiction has an underlying emotion attached to it. Because you refuse to deal with the emotion, whether it be boredom, loneliness, greed, or sadness, you use the addiction to temporarily numb it because of its dopamine properties, until that numbness fades away with a dopamine crash, and you relapse again and again in a vicious and dangerous cycle, begging to just feel normal again. Part of unpacking the addiction is getting to the root of the emotion and countering that emotion with anger or hatred. You can't quit an addiction if you don't hate it, or if its impact on your life doesn't make you angry. Most drug addicts will tell you that they wish they never tried it in the first place. So using strong emotions like anger and hate are a good way to walk away from the addiction. But in order to stay away, you need to deal with the underlying emotion head first. Loneliness might have led you to indulge in pornography, and greed might lead you into the casinos. But in any case, the end result will always leave you feeling worse, amplifying that original underlying emotion. Write down all the bad consequences of your addiction and read it every day to subconsciously remind yourself of the horrific aftermath every time the craving comes around. Step 2, unpack the dopamine. Our body naturally produces a chemical called dopamine, which gives us the feeling of pleasure and ultimately dictates the quality of our life, so long as we keep it above a certain level. However, chasing dopamine by indulging in sugary foods, endlessly scrolling through social media, or at worst, abusing illicit drugs will give you the pleasure spike at first, but will immediately be followed by a crash that will leave you feeling like you're stuck in a sewer for an extended period of time. So one way or the other, when you pursue pleasure, you receive pain, which explains why the people in rich countries with constant access to pleasure have the highest rates of suicide, depression, and physical pain. Step 3, fight for your life. Now that you've understood that the root is an emotion and the temporary solution is dopamine, it's time to rip off the Band-Aid. And there's no other easier way to do this than to fight it. But before we do that, you need to understand that the withdrawals will come in like torrential rain, and there's no way around that. The only way around it is to outlast it. We've been programmed to chase pleasure the minute we feel bored, especially in our hyper-stimulated digital era today, and most of our addictions have been developed because of our inability to deal with boredom. Now look, I know it's easier said than done, but sitting down and purposefully doing nothing is the only way to outlast it. Don't distract yourself with anything else that can lead to another addiction. Just sit there and do nothing. Whatever your addiction is, don't try to battle the temptation with willpower. Instead, distance yourself from it as much as possible. Change your environment to make it difficult for your addictions to lure you in, even if it means cutting some friends off. If you do nothing, then nothing can go wrong, and you will only gain power in solitude. Step 4. Detox. Clinical psychiatrist and author Anna Lemke in her book Dopamine Nation says, "Pressing on the pain side resets our balance to the side of pleasure. If pursuing pleasure gives you more pain, then pursuing pain can only give you more pleasure. Trust me. Take these 3 quick tips for an effective pursuit of pain. Freeze shock your body by jumping in an ice-cold shower for a few minutes to endure the pain and receive a 200% massive spike in dopamine, which is the equivalent of snorting a fat line of cocaine, but without the depression crash. Crank up the heat by vigorously exercising and sweating to receive the same spike in dopamine levels. Starve yourself with intermittent fasting for 16 to 20 hours a day to clear out your system and see how you receive a spike in dopamine from the most basic foods. If you can barrel yourself to do this for a period of 30 days, the results will be mind-blowing, and you will have successfully filtered out the bad habit. The best part is that your dopamine levels in your body will finally reset to enjoy the good things in life. You will decrease anxiety, increase productivity, and bring great creativity. Once you have fought the battle in solitude and detoxed your body, this will lead you to the final step that will ensure that you never look back again. Step 5. Chase your purpose. Lacking purpose is the gateway to chasing pleasure, as it drives you towards distractions. Once you discover your purpose, you will realize that you can't afford to lose a day and distract yourself with futile activities. Moreover, the desire to fulfill your purpose is far greater than the desire to indulge in any addiction. So chase your purpose every day, because it's the reason why you exist. Always remember that. Right, so why don't you smash that subscribe button when you're ready to master your mind and start taking things more seriously. Here's my card.